We're good.
Yes.
We're gonna have to get that out.
Well, welcome to the Fredonia Central School Board of Education meeting for Tuesday, November 4th, 2025. We start each meeting with a pledge to the flag, so please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, before we begin the meeting and approve the agenda, I would like to ask for a moment of silence for Ron Wakefield, a former employee who recently passed away. Dr. Ziliaks, as always said, there's a former employee.
Yeah, definitely, and this one hits a little closer to home that it's connected to two of our current employees. So Ron is Maria Wakefield's father, who you might know. Maria is our elementary school secretary. Great lady, and does a lot for the elementary school. And then that would mean that Albert Ramirez, who was at our last meeting, that's his father-in-law. So we were very sorry to hear this news. There was nice calling hours that many of us attended last week, and service the following day. We appreciate people from the Fredonia family showing up to support both Albert and Maria, and we're sorry to hear about Ron. So if we could please have a moment of silence.
Thank you. Before we start the agenda, we do have an addendum. It is under new business 7D. And in the agenda, we need to approve agenda for the regular meeting of November 4th, 2025, including consent for personnel, but excluding A1 through 3, and consent for new business. All of new business. Can I have a motion to bring that to the table? Ms. Fortna, second?
Second.
Mr. Marshall, thank you. Anything pulled including the consent, or the addendum, I'm sorry? Okay, if not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next we have our public comment. Boards reserve this time to hear from the public. State your name and address. Limit your comments to 5 minutes or less. It has to be directly related to the agenda. For this public comment, anybody like to speak tonight? First session? Good. So we'll move on, and we need to approve the minutes from the regular meeting of October 21st, 2025. Can I have a motion to bring that to the table?
So moved.
Mr. Kinney, a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions on those minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next up is the financial treasurer's report. We have budget, investment, and revenue reports. Mr. Forbes?
We kind of deal with all together as we normally do. On the revenue side, that's where most of the adjustments occurred. When you put the tax levy out on September 1st, you have to put the full amount of the receivable, so it becomes a revenue source. So if you look at the first line of the real property tax current year, it shows the $15 million is received, which obviously on the first day of tax collection, it wouldn't be. The same with the star, which is in the next line. We also did receive our lottery aid, our big lottery aid payment at the end of the month, which is listed under the, and partly foundation aid, which is listed under the state aid section, and also our textbook aid. Investments continue to track a little bit lower than last year, but still in a positive. We're able to try to get some extra interest income there, so that's good. On the expenditure side, we really didn't make many adjustments yet, but we begin to see that now that things are rolling along into October and November. We can kind of take a look at what we projected versus what's coming in. So there'll be some adjustments starting to show up on that side as well.
Okay, great. Any questions on those reports? Mr. Martin?
You said investments are tracking lower than last year.
Yes.
How are they compared to budget?
Well, right now, through this month, because you're seeing September is still below, but we're actually already above into October and November, so that's good. The rates did go down a little bit with the changes last week, but not as much as anybody thought they would. So last year we were probably running around 4.1, 4.2, and right now we're like 3.8, 3.7. So.
All right.
Any other questions? I have a question. So last time we learned, I didn't realize that we get like foundation aid in pieces. We don't
Yes.
get all one lump sum. How many pieces are there to the aid we get? Like what does it?
You get a little bit at the front end, which is in September, which includes the lottery aid, which is part of your foundation formula. And then you really don't get a whole lot until you get into the spring, and then you get what they call the March payments in the spring sustaining advance. So you end up getting about $5 million in the month of March alone, and then another in April. And generally speaking, there's probably $500,000 or $600,000 that gets deferred at the end of the year, and we get that in August from the state. And then on BOCES aid, we get about $800,000 of that in September from the previous year once they close their books out. So it's not a, other than the small lottery aid payments, which are about $60,000 a month, it's not a, every month you get a check, it's just a chunk, and then nothing, and a chunk. And part of that is that they realize school districts are taking their tax levy in September, October, November, so they don't need to have cash flow.
I was going to ask what your cash flow is, so it's because the tax levy supports it.
Yep.
In the fall. Okay. Well, next is the treasurer's report. Can I have a motion to bring that to the table? Mr. Kinney and Mr. Martin, a second. Mr. Forbes, anything on the treasurer's report? All in favor? Opposed? So now we have, next up in financial is to award transportation contracts. Can I have a motion to bring that to the table?
So moved.
Mr. Marshall, a second.
Second.
Ms. Hahn. Mr. Forbes, can you give us the details on this one?
Yeah, this one is a special education student that it was determined they needed an outside placement. BOCES has a youth program called Bloom, which is in Jamestown. We were able to link up with Dunkirk, so you can see that on the contract amounts, it's listed as shared or solo. On the shared days, which is hopefully most days, it'll be with Dunkirk, and we get the savings off of that. And then obviously on the single days, it'll be a little bit more.
Any questions on that?
No, but just again, I know we've talked about this, but just for public knowledge, because someone might look at that and see $500 or $431 a day and be, right, that's a big thing. So these are obligatory things that we're required to do, and then this is a shared resource or shared service that we've gone out of our way, like to find and hook up to reduce the cost whenever possible.
Right, and this is obviously an unbudgeted situation, but you do get transportation aid on it, and the BOCES program is also an unbudgeted situation, so it's a sizable change in those two areas to our budgeted amount.
Yeah, and then the refresh my memory, it's 80-some-odd% reimbursed.
75.
75.
Yeah, I forgot, I was gonna ask that last night, the transportation aid, it's 75%.
72, 75.
Yeah,
And so the issues with anything like this, it becomes, you have to front it out now, because categorical aid received in the year subsequent, so it impacts potentially impacts your fund balance now, but then next year, you can bring it back, so,
does transportation aid fluctuate year to year?
not much, no.
You know, are there parameters that would make it fluctuate, like?
No, they pretty much
student
taking a
pop,
look at straight up,
What's that?
taking a look at the pricing straight up, so.
So it does have to do with, like the socioeconomic,
Things like
status of
the weighted average attendance and all that is in most of the formulas,
Oh, I
so
think I've
it
heard
is in
that.
there, but
So
we're
attendance,
steady on enrollment, so.
so they factor it to attendance, so you actually get some more aid if you have more attendance, because kids are on buses.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I've heard that. So that's a good, not the reason we want kids to attend, but it's kind of a nice bonus, so.
Do you usually find that it washes out from year to year? Like, we're gonna have this increased expense this year, we're gonna get the money next year? Well,
It won't be 100% washout, and for whatever reason, some of the high-cost special ed students become transient, so it could be that through the course of the year, we have someone else leave, or we have another one come in. And in the world of the school finance is one of the worst-case scenarios, and this has happened to other districts. It happened in Brockton a long time ago, where you get a family of 2 or 3 kids that don't go to the same place, now you have to transport them 2 different places. You have their degree of service and not budget, because there's no way to anticipate that.
Any other questions on that? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Also under financial is to approve the ratification, of a big one, ratification of the contract between the superintendent of schools and the Salaried Support Staff Association, otherwise known as SSSA, for the period of July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2029. Could I have a motion to bring that to the table?
So moved.
Mr. Martin, a second.
Second?
Ms. Fortna, thank you. Dr. Ziliox, this is a nice thing they have done.
Yeah, good news. I just wanted to share a little bit of a summary of this agreement. The SSSA ratified last week, and as Mr. Johnson said, we are looking to do the same tonight. This is a 4-year agreement. We want to very much thank both teams that were involved. On our side, we used BOCES Labor Relations, who is very helpful in these kinds of processes. We appreciate the time, effort, energy of everybody involved. It's definitely a commitment. And thankfully, we were able to keep a respectful, collaborative tone and energy during the process and really have some good open dialogue around a number of issues between the district and the SSSA. There were good conversations about a number of ongoing issues, and we all believe that we reached a fair agreement. Our Board of Education had a chance to review the contract in depth at our last meeting in executive session when Kirk Gustafson from Labor Relations came to review much of what I'm going to share with you tonight. So we just want you to be aware that the board has time to process this and think about this before ratification on a particular evening. A summary of some of the key agreed upon items includes some minor things like updating titles in the recognition clause and making sure that they match the wage schedule and the civil service titles, clarifying who in the union will sit in on SSSA job interviews along with district office and our administrative team. We clarified timeframes for grievance processes, and especially look to avoid one clause that was there that might cause the Board of Education, should they need to get involved in creating an additional meeting. So we worked out a time frame that wouldn't cause that to happen. If a grievance is filed and we can't get a resolution at the district level, we also agreed to replace what most people call AAA, the American Arbitration Association, with PERB, or the Public Employment Relations Board. In our experience, this is definitely a less expensive option and a little bit more of a user-friendly option. And I think at this point, all of our associations have made this transition. In part of the contract that talks about sick bank, we had some issues in the past about the term prolonged illness and what does exactly that mean. And we have agreed that a prolonged illness is one that is 20 consecutive school days, so that is included in our contract language. We went to a semi-monthly pay schedule. We also clarified payment for summer work and added job-related training for clerical staff. We also clarified the days that 10-month and 11-month employees needed to report to work, which there were some inconsistencies with 12-month employees, so that was helpful to get everybody on the same page. And we also added 2 bereavement days into the contractual language. Part of this process was us really analyzing the wages in all titles based on the information that we had reviewed. We did determine that Fredonia had been in the bottom quarter of wages in most title areas amongst our component BOCES districts, so that includes 27 districts. Please remember that last year we did adjust nurses when we were having some struggles there, so that was taken care of previously. You know, part of this discussion around wages is that we certainly want to honor the good work that's being done by our current employees. We want to be competitive in the market and attract qualified candidates. We also want to be able to retain our employees and have them remain with us for many years. We also wanted to address compression within the pay scale that is caused by the increases in minimum wage, but then that also creates a smaller gap in between new employees and employees that have come on board in recent years. So in many times the difference between a new employee and somebody who had been here 5 years, 6 years, and 7 years was very small. So we try to address that as well. And the salary terms look like this. For this school year, the 25-26 year, all employees would get an 80 cents increase on their base, but then there would be additional money based on years of service, ranging from 20 cents up into $1.70. So again, that's the compression part that gets a little bit more separation of employees based on the time that they've been here. Next school year, 26-27, will be a straight 5% increase. In 27-28, we'll go back to the same thing that we did this year, 80 cents, then the additional money for years of service, and then in the 28-29 year, we'll be at 4%. So again, thanks to all involved. I believe both sides feel good about the process and the results, and I wasn't sure if there was any follow-up from the board tonight.
Any thoughts, comments, or questions, or? We're good? Yeah. Well, thank you for all the work you did and the supports, Dr. Ziliaks and all others that were involved in negotiating a fair and equitable contract. If there's no other questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great. On to personnel. So under personnel, our first item is to, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approve the probationary appointment of Emily Diamond, who holds a professional certification in students with disabilities, grades 7 through 12, biology, to a probationary teaching position in the special education tenure area. Could I have a motion to bring this to the table? Ms. Gullo and Ms. Hahn, was it? Okay, thank you. Dr. Ziliak, some background on Ms. Diamond.
Yeah, well, first of all, we're excited. This is the one position that has remained unfilled. We want to say thanks to Deb LeVar, who has filled in a variety of positions across the district, but again, for the last 10 weeks, she's been really helpful in high school, so thank you to her. But this was a position that was vacated over the summer, and we just haven't found the right fit. So we were happy to meet with Emily and talk with her a little bit about her qualifications as a special education teacher. She is from Jamestown and also attended JCC. She actually got a bachelor's in psychology at SUNY Fredonia and also a minor in Latino studies, which is a nice fit for some of our developments in the district. She later went on to get her master's in special ed at Mercyhurst. She has a lot of experience previously, partly at the GA Learning Center in Jamestown, then at Job Corps, then at Faulkner, then at Panama Schools, where she is working until the end of this week. And in total, that's just under 30 years of experience, so we are happy to have her come on board starting this coming Monday, join the Fredonia family, and integrate into what's happening at the high school. So we're looking forward to all of that. Mr. Sinelli, did I miss anything or anything you want to share?
No, she, she put her, I think she put her application in on a Monday, and by Tuesday we were interviewing already, and we tried to jump on that really quickly, and she interviewed really well with us. Everybody on the committee, found everything that she had to say in terms of her history and teaching really interesting. She worked at the GA home in Jamestown for quite a while, which is working in an alternative setting, and kind of made her way into the public school system after that, and so we're really excited to have her on board here.
Any questions on that before we approve her? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And welcome Ms. Diamond to the Fredonia staff. Sounds like she has a lot of experience, so be very welcome. So also under personnel, we back to the SSSA theme. We need to approve Steve McNolly as the head of the custodial department effective September 15th, 2025. Salary per SSSA contract. Have a motion to bring that to the table.
So moved.
Ms. Fortin, a second?
Second?
Mr. Marshall, thanks. Dr. Ziliaks.
Yeah, these next two resolutions, 2 and 3, kind of go hand in hand. They are both heads of departments, custodial and maintenance, Steve McNolly and also Doug Essex. So when there was some retirements at the end of last school year, we looked at going to a slightly different model for how we would oversee these departments. You probably remember, we had talked here in public session about a director of facilities. We advertised for a director of facilities, we interviewed for the position, and really just did not have the right fit or a person that we thought would be fully successful here in Fredonia. In some conversations back and forth with the SSSA about where this stands and how this might work, and some concerns about where certain aspects of the director position would fall, we decided to kind of backtrack slightly but improve in what we had in place before. True, this will be an SSSA member who will be overseeing other members, but and this was in consultation with the Board of Education, we really felt it was important to really delineate what things fell under custodial and what things fell under maintenance. At times in the past, there's been a little confusion there. We really wanted to ensure that there was some collaboration and coordinating between the two positions, and this is really a joint effort and one that has an element of working together within it. And we also wanted to make sure we had a clear plan for if one of the department heads was absent, what would happen in that case, and the other department head will be helping with both departments on those occasions, and everybody is in the loop and clear on how this will work. So we're excited about this opportunity. We're excited that both Steve and Doug step forward, showing interest in this position, and we're excited to move forward. In fact, you'll see that the position is actually retro to a little earlier in this year, and they have, for the most part, been acting in this role or a similar role for a little over a month or two now. So we're confident that this is going to be a nice adjustment and is really going to put both departments in a good place to be successful. So.
Great. Any further questions from the board on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And our second approval from the SSSA on this is to approve Doug Essick as head of maintenance department, effective September 15th, 2025. Salary will be per SSSA contract. Have a motion to bring that to the table?
So moved.
Ms. Hahn, a second?
Second?
Ms. Porter, thank you. Dr. Zoliox?
Yeah, this is just the second half of that. Again, we appreciate Doug stepping up and showing an interest and being willing to take on a leadership position. So both great guys, and we look forward to them serving in this role.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's great. Mr. Essick and Mr. Rigoli, highly respected members of the SSSA, so that's fantastic news. The rest is under consent for personnel and new business. Takes us right to our second round of public comment. Anybody like to speak? Moving right on. We have a superintendent's report.
All right, we're keeping it rolling here.
Might take some time.
We have a few items, but we're going to try to keep them moving. Again, having personnel items in consent is not a reflection on the importance of the position, but really just on the flow of our meetings. But we do like to go back and highlight a few things from those resolutions. You might have noticed two familiar names there who are now permanent here in the district. Brandy Kacklemeyer, our high school nurse, and Benita Urbani Costello, who is our elementary nurse, both registered nurse. You probably remember sometime in the past when we were really struggling, having nurses on staff and being able to really have our buildings run smoothly on a daily basis. Since we made those adjustments to the SSA contract that I referred to earlier, and people like Benita and Brandy have come on board, things have run much smoother. They've done a great job and have really provided great service to our students in these offices, but also across the district as well. So congratulations to both Randy and Benita. We appreciate everything they bring to the table, and also appreciate helping to solidify the excellent care in the district over this time. We also have several other permanent positions, cleaners in our secretarial, food service. Those are Wendy Reed, Olivia Erbacher, Emily Moe, Caitlin Hart. We also finally have got permanent status for Kim Lead, who has been serving as food service director. She was finally able to take a test and pass the test and then become permanent. So thank you to her for her work behind the scenes, making sure that she has the proper certification and everything settled there. We also have 3 probationary appointments coming on board right now, 1 teacher aide and 2 under food service. Those are Heather Montgomery, Francis Martinez, and also Eileen Love. So congratulations to them, welcome aboard. We're happy to have them in the district. You might have noticed in the subs a familiar name, Gary Butler, has not only returned to the district to help out in our middle school cafeteria, but is also now subbing as a cleaner when needed, and he's really helped us out in a couple of situations where we were shorthanded. So thanks to Gary, and always good to see employees returning to the district when needed or if desired. Also, you know, each superintendent's report, now that we're solidifying kind of how we're working directly with our student representatives, we'll have a moment during each superintendent point for them to share some information with us. Over the past few weeks, they've been thinking about the start of school, maybe what's gone well, what things could be improved. They've reached out to some of their classmates to gather some information, so we were hoping you could share whatever you would like to share with us tonight.
Awesome, thank you for this opportunity to talk about our recent back-to-school survey that we did at the high school.
I think that our survey, so it went off pretty strong. We got 87 responses, which was a good cross-section of our total student body. The overall sentiment was positive with the responses. We got a 3.78 out of 5, and we'd like to share some more specific areas where students feel the school is excelling.
The top 3 positives that were selected were attendance, fitting in and finding friends, and communication with teachers and administration, which over half of the people surveyed believe was effective and went well. Many students also highlighted that joining extracurriculars was a smooth and positive experience for them, which I know definitely was partly to Mr. Tonelli sending out weekly emails about every club that was happening this week and where it was happening and everything with that. So these results show that we are successfully fostering a welcoming and connected school environment.
So some areas where students are signaling for more support. The data shows that 73.1% of students selected that they're struggling with a lack of sleep, and 55.1% reported that they're having trouble managing their homework load. Other issues that they mentioned included technology challenges and difficulties with course scheduling and availability. That's something that occurs every year, so that's something that happens quite often. These numbers indicate that the administration and board might want to direct these resources and attention.
These responses also offer an excellent starting point for discussion. We hope this data can trigger conversations about balancing an academic demands with student well-being.
So one thing that we did find out, many students didn't know about our specific role as a student representative. There were a few questions directed toward us in the survey, leading us to believe that the student body they weren't sure who Catherine and I were, or how we function, what we serve on the board. So we'd like to work with the administration to brainstorm more effective ways to introduce ourselves and the purpose with the student representative role, and to introduce ourselves to the entire high school. And we really want the students to know who we are and that we're always available and eager to listen to them.
And that's it, and we can answer any questions.
Sure. I missed the challenge is sleep, which I expected that to be number 1. What was number 2?
It was homework load.
Homework load, okay, thank you. Any other questions for Ms.
I have a question.
what do you think the challenge, what do you think they meant by technology challenges? Do you think, technology at home or here at school, or what do you think they meant?
I think it's probably a good mixture of both. They weren't really particularly specific, but it is often that people have issues with like IT loaners and getting a Chromebook, or like they may have left their Chromebook at home, so it's a good mix of both issues, I think.
That's great, thank you, love it, hope
Yeah,
you
thank
bring
you.
this more and more.
Yeah, that's great, that's a great idea, you know, to introduce the student body to what you're doing and brainstorming how you can do that, so thank you for that, thank you.
I did have a follow-up
Oh,
as
sure.
well, if that's
Well,
okay.
yeah.
I think, you know, the point of more and more, like, so what happens with this, survey feedback? Is there a way that you will report it out to the student body, since they contributed their time to you? Is there an opportunity for what you shared with us to be shared with the students in some way, and then maybe what comes next?
Yeah, I'm hoping that this can obviously trigger some conversation, and maybe when we bring the survey back to the students, it kind of also comes with some solutions or some change that's trying to be made, just to kind of show that we're not just asking them these questions for no reason, and that we're asking for a purpose and for change to be made. So I'm hoping when we kind of bring that back to the students, there can also be something else to give them that was from you guys as well.
Okay. So really that,
Maybe, I'm just thinking, that's great, maybe there's more work to do on your side before that happens on our side, digging into those 3 issues that were most challenging, and make maybe a little more information gathering on those, and soliciting ideas from the student body and from the 2 of you about how we might address those issues.
and then once you work through it, we need to work out how we address it, or who addresses it from this side, so that's all good stuff. It's good.
And I know we had spoken a little bit about maybe using the spectator as a way to communicate with the students.
Yeah, there's one option, yeah, for sure. Anything else from Catherine Deschman's report? Back to Dr. Ziliaks, any other items on the superintendent report tonight?
Yep, a few more.
You said 2. That
So,
was 2.
or was it, or did I say few? The board last night had a retreat that was focused on our budget process. It was the entire board, Dr. Wright, Mr. Forbes, Miss Catherine Fortna was here, as well as myself. That was put on by representatives from NISBA, New York State School Board Association, and we really got pretty deep into the process, covered a lot of information, expenditures, revenue, the importance of representing each of those visually, got into some information about fund balance and building fund balance, staffing and benefits, equipment, materials, supplies, contractual expenses, BOCE services, debt service and interfund transferred, capital outlay projects and capital projects, which we have some experience with, shared services, restricted reserves, tax levy limit, and also some comparative analysis. And intermixed in there was how we can best communicate information about our budget to the community at certain intervals over the course of the budget process. So I felt like it went very well, a lot of information. I think there was a good mix of reminding us of certain aspects of the process, as well as expanding our knowledge a little bit in certain areas. We absolutely appreciate everybody who participated. I don't know if any other board member would have anything else to share, but we just wanted to make sure our community was aware that we're always taking steps to sharpen our saw a little bit and make sure that we're as informed as possible.
Any comments from last night, session, or?
I really appreciated it. Steve, thank you for all of your work in organizing it and identifying these experts. We were led by someone with significant amount of experience and really just some different perspectives. So I think a very valuable, good use of our time last night. So.
Great. Yeah, this is our 3rd in a row retreat, and this one was focusing on the budget. A lot to learn. valuable. My brain was on fire most of the night, but you know, it really helps us set the table for the budget season, which will come very soon, sooner than we think. So thanks to everybody willing to come into these retreats, and they're willing to be open and willing to learn, because you know, there's so much to learn. So thank you for that. A few more, Dr.
A
Zayas?
few more, yeah, we're gonna keep it rolling. You know, we recognize that there are a number of concerns, and you might have seen some articles recently in a variety of publications regarding the uncertain status of the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, aka SNAP, as a resource that many of our local families depend on. And we wanted to remind everybody of some of the options available to our families here in the district and here locally. Please remember that we have both the EDGE and the EDGE Junior. Now that is more focused on clothes, hygiene products, and toiletries. But we can be of assistance if anybody is in need of any of those kinds of items. We also have a food pantry right here, which is primarily groceries, as a way of providing additional support to our families. Our social workers are definitely the brains behind these operations, and we want to thank them for their hard work here. That includes at the high school, Kat Iyer, at the middle school and elementary school, Ella Wiggers, and also at the elementary and Wheelock, Cassie Farrell. We also have a Partners in Kind walk-up food pantry right on the Chestnut Street playground at Wheelock. That doesn't require anybody to talk to anybody. You just walk up, take what's available there, and it's restocked periodically. We do have a good number of individuals who tap into that resource. We also have the food backpack program available at the elementary in Wheelock, where food is sent home on the weekends. For any of those programs, you could reach out to any of our offices, any of our social workers, any of our administrators, and we can get you in touch if this is something that could be helpful to you or someone you know. We also wanted to share that the board is actively looking for ways that they can support these efforts. We're kind of brainstorming a couple ideas there, so more information to follow on that. Outside of the district, but fairly locally, the Fredonia Presbyterian Church is very helpful in connecting families with food resources. Feed More of Western New York is certainly a primary player in the area. SUNY Fredonia also has some resources available. There is the Friendly Kitchen on Washington Ave in Dunkirk that's available, and also the St. Susan Center, but that is in Jamestown, a little bit of a drive down the road, but we just wanted to make people aware of some other possibilities with this uncertainty, and you know, we are looking for ways in which we can help and support our families across the board. I also want to share and highlight that our Board of Education members over the last couple of years have definitely made an effort to attend BOCES Board of Education meetings. This allows us to be aware of what's happening internally within the BOCES organizations, but also items that pertain to, again, the 27 component districts, and there's a lot of good information there. I believe there might be a meeting tomorrow night that perhaps...
That just occurred to me, and it was very frightening. Thank you. Maybe I missed it.
That Mrs. Hahn might be attending, and I think that's at Laguitas, so not a far drive. So we appreciate our board getting involved, and I know the personnel, Dr. O'Rourke, over at BOCES certainly appreciates seeing some familiar Fredonia faces there. I also just wanted to come back to that we continue to review our booster fundraising, and we have a meeting next week to discuss this in more details. One of the ideas that we're looking at right now is creating a list of guiding principles for our fundraising that will support open communication, transparency, accountability, prioritization, equity among teams, and other items in that vein. And we will continue to have updates on our progress here, but we're looking at having something in place fairly quickly. Lastly, I wanted to share that our review of our facilities from an accessibility point of view Also continues, thanks to Braden for the article recently, very well done. Appreciate you including some of the information that we shared with you. We have reconnected with our district architect, Young and Wright, with a renewed focus on the areas that came up here in the public comment the other night. Again, this includes the main campus playground, our elementary school office restroom, our science labs, our athletic facilities, our chorus room, and our swimming pool. Our facilities committee, which is made up of 3 board members, myself, Mr. Forbes, and we get assistance from Young and Wright. We'll be touring these areas to see exactly what we're talking about and review some of the options for hopeful resolution in the coming months. And we will keep everyone updated on our progress there as well. Any questions, comments?
You had a nice comprehensive list of local resources for families suffering from food insecurity. Is there a way to share those out other than just to people who listen to this?
Sure. Yeah, we can put together some social media.
Before the end of the week.
Good suggestion.
Any other questions, or? There was a few, but it was well worth the time. It was, well done. All right, on to our next regular Board of Education meeting. Will be Tuesday, November 18th, 2025, at 6 p.m. here in the high school library. And we also have some board correspondence. Thanks in advance, Ms. Hahn, for tomorrow night. My apologies, I did a trifecta of a retreat, regular meeting, and now BOCES, on top of what you're going to speak on as you attended the NISPA conference last week and came back with a boatload of information. Could you give us a few highlights?
Sure, thank you. Yes, so the New York State School Board Association annual meeting was in New York City, so that was very exciting. It was a great conference. I started on Wednesday with the pre-convention school law conference, which was very informative, particularly about First Amendment and issues and students, which law controls federal or state law if they conflict in different situations impacting schools. And then I thought the most interesting session of that one was a simulated board meeting where attorneys who represent school districts played the roles of different people at a board meeting, and all kinds of crazy things broke loose. So that was really fun. And just talking through what can come up and what are some appropriate ways to deal with different things. And then the following day, it was a 2-day conference, and it began with so it was bookended by keynote sessions. The first one was Tim Shriver talking about his Dignity Index, and then the keynote at the end was Steve Hartman from CBS News talking about his Kindness 101, and those were just incredible, enriching, soul-affirming keynotes. So that was amazing. And then in between those bookends, I mostly focused on sessions that dealt with board operations, as Dr. Ziliak said, kind of trying to sharpen the saw, and then so that we don't lose anything I learned there, I immediately reached out to our board president to share what I had learned so it wouldn't be lost. And I'm going to distribute some notes on those things as well to the other school board members, but just sessions on school board meetings, executive sessions, student school board representatives, and some innovations happening and establishing strong board norms for success. It was just a lot of really interesting information that I hope to share out.
Great, thank you. Any questions on that at all? Comments? Thank you for attending in your busy professional life. I find those simulations the best way that I learn, actually.
That was fun.
They're really a good tool. You found it valuable enough that somebody should attend next year?
I believe someone from our school board should attend every year. There were representatives, I would say, from most of the school districts in Chautauqua County. And next year's is in Buffalo. I believe the
That's
following year may also be in Buffalo,
It
and then
is.
back to
It
New
is
York
back
City.
to back, so
Super.
if we got multiple members going up, it's a great learning experience. It's a it's a fantastic conference. They do a great job with it.
They do, and the sessions, there are so many taking place at the same time that you can't be at all of them, but they do have a digital experience now that was recently added, where you can go back and listen to sessions that you had to miss.
Yeah, so maybe next year we can hit more sessions with a few more in Buffalo, so. Thank you so much for going. You got a busy week this week too, so thank you. Thank you. So that's board correspondence. Any other general comments from the board before we move around the table? Mr. Tonelli?
Sure. Just a couple of thank yous. The Ambassador Club held a trick or treat for our elementary students. I think we had about 5 classes full of elementary students come down. So that club had all the kids dress up, and they had different spots along our first floor hallways for the kids to come down and trick or treat. It was great. Tomorrow night is our National Honor Society induction at the high school, so it's a 6 p.m. start in the auditorium. If anybody would like to stop in, it's usually about a 30-minute or so presentation for the students getting inducted into the National Honor Society. So that should be a very nice night as well. Last week was our first concert for the year at the high school. So it was the High School Pops concert, which is a really well-attended event here at the high school. So that's our band, chorus, orchestra, and all the offshoots of each performance group, the jazz band, the madrigals, all singing pops, which is a great night for them. And then before that was the Triumph Music Honor Society induction as well. So we had it was a huge crowd of kids, about 20 kids get inducted into the Triumph Music Honor Society that night. And then in November, next weekend, and then 2 weekends out from there, are the NISMA competitions that take place. So that'll be at Pioneer. The first one is the Junior NISMA. We have about 25 students participating in that at Pioneer High School next week, or this upcoming weekend. Yesterday, Unified Club attended their leadership conference at SUNY Fredonia. You may have seen pictures on the Facebook page for that. Speakers, games, leadership opportunities throughout the day for our Unified Club. We had about 30 students attend that trip as well. And then this upcoming weekend, we have Model UN attending their conference at Gannon University. So we have quite a few trips out there, but a lot of really fun activities at the high school for our clubs.
Thank you very much. And, it's a great idea that they mentioned that you're putting out those emails, to reminders to the students, so it's a good idea.
Thanks.
Great. Ms. Bohannes?
Yes, so at the last board meeting, I believe I shared that our incentive would be wrapping up for attendance at the end of the quarter. So Halloween happened to be the end of the first quarter, might as well just add to the madness and throw in their attendance incentive. So we had, out of 462 students, we had roughly 410 that received their 95% attendance for the first quarter, so that's very encouraging. While we still continue to identify and support those individuals that struggle with their attendance, it was nice to be able to recognize those kids that come to school every day. The 95 percentage points allowed students to be absent no more than 3 times during the first quarter, so that was great to be able to celebrate so many of our kids coming to school every day.
Fantastic, thank you.
We also are now on to our second quarter incentive, where we're going to have like a chain link activity kind of leading up until break. So similarly, for the 95% attendance in each of those first period classrooms, they can add a link, and then there's incentives along the way. Our modified girls basketball is up and running now that it's the first of the winter sports to start, with some open gyms and tryouts this week. And of course, musical is underway with just a few weeks before the big show. But tickets are open and out there, so November 21st and 22nd, I believe, are the dates. So yes, we're excited for Rudolph Jr.
Great. Thank you, and thanks for focusing on the attendance, and you're increasing our transportation aid. It's good.
No problem.
Mr. Georgia?
Good. So about a year ago, our building kind of identified an area of growth, and we wanted to make sure our kids weren't as squirrely, and they were making good choices. So over the past year, I've spoken about various programs: PACS, Leader in Me, and Billy's. PACS is kind of just like routines and signals, like simple. We blow a harmonica to get the attention of kids. And we do that consistently across the building, and it works. Leader in Me is teaching the 7 habits, and you guys have heard about the habits and things like that. And Billy's are our tickets that we give to recognize good behavior. So I wanted to see if this was actually working. So I looked at the behavior referrals. So last year, in the month of September, we had about 20 behavior referrals. This month, we had about 20 as well. Or I'm sorry, this year in September, we had about 20. Last year in October, we had 41 behavior referrals, so it kind of spiked, you know. This year, I'm proud to report that in the month of October, we had half of that, only 26 behavior referrals. So my simple brain would like to think that all three of these things are coming together in harmony, and our behavior referrals hopefully have flatlined, and that will continue. So we're going to continue the good work that we're doing with PACS, Leader, and Me and Billy's, and I would love to report the month of November and December, and hopefully those referrals stay right where they are. And that's all I have for today.
Thank you for taking that on, and,
Yeah.
you know, that's good data, that's the data that the board likes, that's our goal this year, is more data, and behavioral referrals is a piece of that, you know.
So the month of November of 2024 was a doozy, with about 60 referrals, so I'm hoping that, you know, the past does not repeat itself. We'll see. I'll let you know.
Thank you. Ms. Piper?
So we were very excited to have the culmination of our Quality Stars assessment happen. We went through a very grueling process over the last little over a year, where we submitted about 86 pages of data and documentation of what our teachers and students are doing at pre-K. And then we got a preliminary rating of 4 stars out of 5, which is, if you think about a hotel or restaurant rating, it's really very significant. We were thrilled to get that 4-star rating. But it was preliminary. We had to have somebody come in from Quality Stars and actually observe our program to make sure that the data that we submitted was accurate. And so we had someone from Albany come down and visit us last week, 3 days. They spent 3 hours in 3 separate classrooms, taking diligent notes on all of the different standards for Quality Stars. And we were thrilled to find out that we were confirmed as a 4-star rating program for Quality Stars for our pre-K program. Many kudos to our pre-K staff, the teachers, the aides, the support staff, the parents, the community, all pitched in. Their big sigh of relief. We knew that they could do it, but to have that affirmation back from the experts was just really fulfilling to them. So we're thrilled, absolutely thrilled. In that same vein, we've been reviewing our FastBridge data for kindergarten, taking a look at our early literacy and early numeracy, as well as behavior ratings that the teachers do for the students. We've started our SAT, our student assistance team process. So for students that really are at like a tier 3 level, that are at about 10% of a concern, so at risk, we are going to dive in soon, especially at kindergarten, because we know the sooner we give them early intervention, the gap is closed more quickly. And so we're starting that process with our SAT meetings next week. So excited about that. And our pre-K students are also being screened. We give them a preliminary screening that is vetted through state ed. They tell us what we need to use that is a reliable and a valid measure of student achievement. And then we take those students, review that based on student performance, and we give them an additional screening because they're 4. And what we know about students that are 4 is that they're 4. And talk about being squirrely, they have a hard time sitting. These are all done one-on-one. We take the time to really make sure that they're comfortable so we can get accurate measures for the students. And so we're taking that second step now to see how much progress has been made since the beginning of the year. Do we need to do a little bit further? Do we need to go a little bit step further? So that is happening this week right now. Thrilled to announce we had our first, hopefully, annual Autism Moms Luncheon last Saturday with the Autism Caring Center out of Pittsburgh, and it was a huge success. We had 25 people come on a Saturday to come spend some time together networking, sharing resources, talking about some of the struggles as it is as a parent with a disability. And we also had some guest speakers that came in that gave some great tips and ideas, as well as some vendors that helped these parents. It was just heartwarming, lots of tears, lots of laughs. Everybody said, can we do this again soon? So we're hoping to get even more moms to come in so we can support our families with this. In that same vein, Cassie Farrell, as Dr. Zillatz mentioned earlier, has been working with Don White from Parents as Teachers out of JCLC. They've started a parent group. So they are meeting with parents open to anybody once a month to come in. They have coffee and donuts, and they actually ask the parents the topics that they'd like to talk about, addressing things like attendance, you name it, whatever the parents want to come up with, so they've started doing that as well. And Dawn has been working with Toys for Tots, already collecting Christmas items for these families, so she was out delivering Christmas gifts yesterday, which was beautiful. And we do have on our We Love Facebook page, all the food pantries listed and access for the community to be able to, where they can go, and where they can access any food for food insecurities, so.
Great, thanks, Ms. Piper. Yeah, fantastic news about the 4-star.
So exciting.
Yeah, I was just thinking, you mentioned the day that you had and, the behavioral referrals and the attendance and, we hear it and then, at least for me, I forget it, right? The next day, it'd be great if it could be emailed to us, some of that data, so we could archive it, because that's one of our goals this year is to archive our data, so we can see it from year to year and track, and that'd be great. So thank you very much. Mr. Forbes?
Can I ask
Oh, I'm sorry.
On your 4 stars, do we get a plaque, or what's the opportunity for us to really be able to share and promote that within our community?
That's a good question. I got a certificate that I printed out, put on my door in the office, and shared with everybody, but it's certainly something that I could pass along to the district office. Kate, we can talk and put it out on the webpage or something.
Certainly we want to promote that.
Yeah, for sure,
It's a huge
for sure.
accomplishment.
Definitely, yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? Sorry, Mr. Forbes, I skipped Dr. Wright, Dr. Wright.
That's okay. Here we go. Thank you. So we have on Monday, November 10th is our next in-service day with our FTA and SSA units. And I want to thank all of our building administrators for working collaboratively, our instructional leaders for talking to their groups and providing input and helping us to make sure that the professional development is responsive to needs. One of the things we've been working really hard on that's part of our district plan is literacy. And specifically, we have been focusing on the UPK4. HMH into reading is the curriculum that last year we did our pilot with. This year our plan is called All In. We are all in, and that is for grades K through 4. So we have also, as part of that, last year's literacy attestation work, we talked extensively about meeting those needs for early learning, including phonemic awareness, phonological awareness, all of those sorts of things. And so in a collaborative group and looking at resources, it was determined that we would be using the UFly phonemic program, and that stands for the University of Florida Literacy Institute. So while all the phonemics and phonics are firmly embedded into HMH, this is a manual that is K2 that allows all teachers K2 to have that resource in their hand to see what was done before, what's coming ahead. And it also allows grades 3 and 4 to use that as a remedial resource as they provide those tier 2 services, but they can all see exactly where that progression is. And it also allows everybody to receive UFly training. So Mr. Jollinger worked to arrange some of that so that half the staff will have that opposite PACS in the summer, in the August in-service, and the second half of that group will be receiving that training on November 10th, and that's through our partnership with BOCES. So thank you to Brian Hilton for coming and doing that. And that means that every teacher UPK4 will have had this UFly training. So again, trying to make sure that it's systematic, that we're providing our staff with what they need, that we have the students experiencing the continuity of education. Also as part of that is we are doing our weekly literacy meetings, and so it was very fun today to meet with all grades UPK through 4 and make sure that we are staying focused on that, and that includes me. And what I said to all groups was, areas like Barnes & Noble would not have all the self-help group things and all the habit books and habits of mind, atomic habits, all the things, if all of us didn't struggle with habits. And so this is one of the ways that we're doing that. So we'll be having weekly literacy meetings with grades K through 4 to make sure we are all on track with that. And our first quarter goal was consistent vocabulary in line with the HMH program, and everybody talked about how they're using it and all of that. Our second quarter has to do with the actual reading lessons that are part of the HMH program, and so then as part of the half day on part of the in-service day, November 10th, the second half of the day will be those vertical conversations K through 4 as our in-service. So we're working hard to calibrate, make sure we're all rowing in the same direction so that our students, as they progress, we can see the differences not just in the grade level, but in that year-to-year cohort. So conceivably then, our students who are in kindergarten, as they come through first, second, third, fourth, will all have experienced this exact same program, exact same series, and our teachers will all have been trained to provide that to our students. So we're very excited about that.
Thank you. I mean, vertical line is so important. It's difficult to do, but it's great. And all the structure of the PD is fantastic. Yeah. Mr. Forbes, now, you're done. Ms. Morrison.
Just a real quick reminder to the board, the legislative breakfast is coming up. We'll be at the Wayden this year. So y'all should have gotten emails from Trish. Just let me know tomorrow if you can, so I can get everybody registered. I believe Sheila's already there. So just kind of let me know if you can.
Do you know the date?
15?
I think it's the 15th.
Yeah, Saturday 15th.
Yeah, it's their
15th.
usual day, but it's obviously a breakfast rather than their
Okay.
dinner. But yeah, if you need me to remind me tomorrow, I can resend you the email from Trish. But I believe we should all have it.
Okay, great. Thank you, Ms. Morrison. Any other comments from the board on that? If not, we anticipate the need to enter into executive session to discuss personnel issues. Can I have a motion to bring that to the table?
So moved.
Mr. Marshall, and second, Ms. Foreman, or Ms. Caldwell, I'm not sure which one. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you for attending. Drive safe. You can have anybody sign it. And Mr. Carmen, you can get back to your election.